call them beholders, wraiths, giants. They call us snacks. So when those bastards come to claim your world, send their ass to hell. Is calling.
To new gameplay today. I am your host today, Alex Stadnick. Join with me, the king of the tabletop himself, Matt Miller. Hello, sir.
Oh, wow. What a lofty title you've chosen to give me today.
I think you fit. You are the easily the best DM I've ever worked with.
Oh, well, that is very sweet. That's very sweet of you. Well, thank you. I do enjoy some tabletop role-playing games. And the game we're talking about today has some pretty intimate ties to the tabletop gaming world.
I was going to say, what a perfect match, because we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance today. And if you don't remember this game, think back to the Game Awards 2019 with the crazy metal soundtrack booming and like the very like focused on the warriors' faces type of trailer. Like that's the game we're talking about today.
I thought that was a strange trailer, I'm going to be honest. And let's just get that out of the way right up front. It was an unusual intro to a project that I think now that we've seen it and I've played it a little bit, there's a lot more interesting things we can talk about related to the game.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So like you said, you got to play it. You got your hands on it. It is an ARPG. What did you think? I guess I will defer to you on what stood out to you the most.
Yeah, well, I was a fan of the old, 2001, I want to say. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance was a really fun spin-off from the Baldur's Gate games that the big things it did was that it offered cooperative play on consoles and was very action-y, right? It's a role-playing game, D&D world stuff, but it felt like it was real fast-moving action and looting and that kind of stuff in the vein of Diablo. And I have very fond memories of this game, and played it a lot with friends back in the day. And I think that they've taken the two core things, a focus on action and a focus on cooperative play, and they have brought that forward. In many other ways, it's very different from those old games. It's not anymore like an isometric kind of view game in the style of Diablo. It's more like a third-person action game with, you've got your light attack, heavy attack, and you've got some special powers, and you upgrade your gear and that kind of stuff. But it does put a big focus on the idea of hey, I want to play together with friends. I want to explore the D&D world, some specifically Forgotten Realms, and it uses what arguably are some of the most familiar characters to fans of that fantasy setting. It uses some characters that really are in many ways kind of underused in video games. We have not seen the companions of the hall, as they're called, of the video games that have been around in the D&D license, and here you're getting to you're literally playing Dritz and Wolfgar and Brunor and Catti Brie. Those are your four leads that you get to pick between to play as, and that's pretty fun
for sure. Now, as you said, this is a focus on action. It's an ARPG, but is this a game that, because I recently got into D&D over the last year, and that breadth of choice and not knowing what's going to happen next is always exciting. Did you get a vibe that players were going to get choices in that game, or is this a more straightforward narrative?
I think it's a more straightforward action-focused experience. There's certainly choices in how you're leveling your character up as you choose different feats. You choose among a number of different gear sets that you can acquire, and there's like set bonuses that you can be chasing, which I think will be a lot of fun. Those have distinctive looks for each of the four characters, right?
Cool.
So you can really make each of the characters kind of your own in that sense. And I get the sense that there's also a good bit of choice, although I only played one mission myself during the demo I got. I think the implication I had is that you'll have some choices about when you tackle different missions, like what missions you want to do next, that kind of thing. Because there's these sort of like larger quests that you're going on. And then there's like, I think there's generally like 3 actual missions in each one of those bigger storylines.
Okay.
And then all told, there's somewhere in the vicinity of, I want to say there's 20 plus actual distinct missions that you're going on. There's multiple difficulty settings, right? So that you go in and you level up your gear, you level up your character, and then you could return to a mission and beef up the difficulty, make it a little bit harder, but be then chasing better gear, which is a lot of fun.
For sure.
And you're also, each of the 4 heroes are very different from one another. They're modeled after the characters that were in the original books by R.A. Salvatore. And so you can be Dritz and get all these interesting stealth-oriented Drow Ranger style stuff. But alternately, you can play as Catti Brie and focus on ranged archery stuff. And a lot of those different abilities complement each other, as well they should.
For sure.
So that you get a sense of kind of what you really want out of a cooperative game, right? Somebody who is going to be really good at breaking defenses, somebody else who's really good at sneaking behind and doing stealth damage, somebody who can hit foes from a distance or heal. All those different dynamics are at play within the 4 main characters that you're getting to play as.
For sure. Who did you? I know the gameplay is not yours on the screen you're seeing right now, but who did you get to play as in your time, or did you get to try all 4?
I played as Dritz. I felt sort of obligated to play as the classic character that everybody. I mean, I think in every MMO you ever go into, there's somebody who has chosen to name their character XXX Dritz XXX,
Yeah.
right? Like. Mm-hmm. It's just like a thing. People love that character. I felt like I should give him a try if I was gonna have time with just any one of these leads. And he was fun. He's fast. He has lots of abilities to kind of like stealth and sneak up behind people to be able to get critical hits from behind. Anytime you get directly behind a foe, you can get a critical hit on them from behind and do extra damage. There's some there's some light platforming, traversal stuff as you're kind of jumping around these environments. But it's mostly focused on, going from one action arena-y space to another. And then getting in these big fights where you take out a bunch of foes. You build up there's things like building up a meter to use your ultimate. Including for Dritz, you can summon. He has in the fiction this Black Panther,
Cool.
who he can summon.
Yeah.
And that's like the ultimate for him. So when you build up your meter, you can summon her into battle and that kind of stuff. So I think that they've done a good job. At least at the brief time that I played with it, it was pretty clear that they understood the fiction. They understood the excitement around the D&D universe. They went to a lot of trouble to include lore elements so that once you return to the base, you can kind of like read about interesting stuff and learn more about the monsters and the cultures and stuff like that.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
I feel like that's paramount, especially if they want to attract people like you who, have been a part of D&D for so long. Last question I'll ask you was, you're talking about platforming, you're talking about a lot of hack and slash action. In your playthrough, did it feel satisfying? Did it feel meaty? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I was happily surprised. I mean, I feel like the verdict is still out on like the the final flow of improving and really learning the combat system. Like like a lot of times when you demo a game the first time, you're kind of just like banging on a lot of buttons and not exactly sure what you're doing. And I'm sure the developers know that, and they put things on an easy enough difficulty setting that you're not just going to get frustrated playing.
For sure.
But it went well. Like I liked the sense that each of the characters felt different, and that I could feel there being kind of complementary roles at play and things that I could do that the other character on screen couldn't do. It can go up to 4 players all playing together, and they have, instanced loot for each character, right? So you're never gonna. That's key, I think, at this point in this sort of accepted practice.
Yeah, I don't think any game anymore should not have instance loot, but that's it. That's a topic for another time.
Yeah, exactly. And but they also scale the difficulty of the encounters as you add in additional players. So yeah, I mean, and then the combat itself felt relatively simple and straightforward, but in a good way, right? I mean, this is the kind of game, if for those people who remember the old Dark Alliance, it was pretty simple. It was meant to be something you kind of just like hung out with your friends and chatted about your day while you beat up some monsters, right?
Yeah.
And it has that quality here, right? I mean, these aren't like super crazy complex combos you're having to learn or anything like that. It's nice, fun combat where the interesting combos that appear are because you happen to hit the right button combo, and it just emerges as being something fun.
For sure.
So I had a pretty good time with it.
Cool. I think that's all you can ask for, especially in the preview sense. Solid combat experience. They're doing stuff to please D&D fans. I think this is a good start. So when can we get our hands on this game, and on what platforms, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, they're aiming for launch on June 22nd of this year, so it's not too far out now. And kind of coming to all sorts of stuff. It's coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PC, kind of the whole shebang of current and next gen consoles. No Switch, to my knowledge, is the one absence.
Cool. You love to see it. Well, thank you for taking your time to talk about your experience, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.